looking back, I mean, I lost my job, I lost my partner, I lost tens of thousands of dollars, I lost hundreds of hours, and I'm suffering every moment. You know, before this, I could just wake up in the morning, make a coffee, be optimistic about the day, go to work, look forward to the weekend, look forward to trips, look forward to, everything a 30-year-old wants to do in life, get married, have a family, you know. To this day, I still live with a lot of debilitating symptoms, including, I'm talking to you now, and I have a constant headache. I have constant headache all day, every day. The only moment and time I get relief is when I sleep, which is which is unbelievable. I'm 32, so the amount of uh, time and stuff I've lost, just from having a constant headache, and I have a loss of sensation in body parts. I have sexual dysfunction. I don't have any libido. I have no interest in that. I have no sensation in my genital. Um, I my muscles are stiff. Um, my jaw muscles are stiff. I mean, this is something out of a horror story, really. Like, these symptoms are like, if you had told me prior to taking this 5-AR inhibitor that this would have caused these type of symptoms, over taking it in a matter of 2 weeks, like, I would have thought impossible.
Hello and welcome to the Moral Medicine channel. Today I am very happy to welcome my friend Ryan to the channel. So Ryan has been suffering from an adverse reaction to lion's mane. He's been suffering for almost 2 years now with a wide range of symptoms after having consumed lion's mane. Thank you so much for coming to the Moral Medicine channel to share your story with us, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, for inviting me here. And I just I just want to share my story, and I hope others come forward and share their story too. And that's the only way we'll be able to, you know, figure this out. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, very well said. And I second that. So I think a good starting point is to first just clarify, what is lion's mane and why could you possibly be suffering from symptoms which really mirror those of post-finasteride syndrome? So I think a very good starting point is just to read a very brief excerpt to provide some very necessary context around the discussion that we'll have today about the symptoms that you're suffering from. So there is quite a bit of literature to show that um, lion's mane, as well as a number of other mushrooms, are actually quite potent anti-androgenic substances which lower DHT in people who consume them. In the same way that saw palmetto, which is also a natural compound, reduces DHT. So I'm just going to read a quick quote here. Similarly, some mushrooms inhibit 5-alpha reductase, an enzyme that converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. There have been quite a few studies which have shown this. For example, Dr. Chen at the Beckham Research Institute at the City of Hope National Medical Center surveyed a wide range of different mushrooms, including lion's mane, and found that they were quite potent and anti-androgenic and reduced dihydrotestosterone. So, with that out of the way, I would like to ask you, Ryan, if you could please kindly tell me, why did you decide to take lion's mane and when?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And before I get into that, though, the excerpt you took from Paul Stamets' guide, Mycelium Running, it's interesting because when you reach out to professors I had reached out to several professors at universities asking them about potential side effects of lion's mane, and I didn't get a single one who could tell me side effects. And that excerpt came right from Paul Stamets' guide, which is he's the world-renowned mycologist. So the even when you buy this supplement, so I'll get into that question. So when I was researching this supplement to buy, I saw nothing but great things, and I figured, okay, it's gonna help me give me a boost in my daily life. It's gonna help me focus, help concentrate, and it seemed pretty safe. I mean, I didn't see anything bad about it. I didn't see any information that this was a DHT blocker or anything remotely like that. It's sold as a superfood, safe, right? I thought so. I took it for 2 weeks in November of 2021, and yeah, I bought it from a third party retailer, but yeah, I purchased Home Mushrooms brand Lion's Mane. And for context, I only took it for 2 weeks, and that's when my devastating symptoms began.
Yeah, it seems like a very innocuous decision, and how could you have known? But yeah, I think it's interesting to note the anti-androgenic properties that a lot of these mushrooms have. So, Ryan, could you please tell me about your experience taking lion's mane? So you said you took it for 2 weeks, and when did you
Mhm.
first notice that something was wrong?
Okay, so that's interesting. So the first week, okay, I experienced now. I don't know what mindset I was in. I experienced like kind of these heart palpitations that wouldn't go away for like 15 minutes, and I assumed it was from drinking coffee and stress and whatnot. But I had never experienced this before. Um, but yeah, I took it for 2 weeks, and then near the end of the 2 weeks, I experienced a panic attack, and I'd never experienced a panic attack before in my life. Um, I had anxiety, but nothing out of the ordinary. Everybody experiences anxiety on some level. So, yeah, so I had a panic attack, and then basically, yeah, that was right after the first 2 weeks, basically, and that snowballed into these symptoms, starting with complete deletion of sleep. Um, wasn't getting more than an hour to two of sleep a night, and yeah, I started to do more research on this mushroom, and I found a lot of disturbing side effects that people were getting. I'll quote one comment I read. Someone was saying this was the only mushroom or the only supplement that caused me damage. And I'm a guy, I've taken, things before, vitamins and stuff, and never had any issues ever with any type of substance. So it's and I eventually learned about it being a 5-AR inhibitor, and I didn't even know what 5-AR inhibition was, and what that could do to the body in regards to sexual dysfunction, neurological issues, variety of symptoms that I'm experiencing to this day, and I still have no relief over a year and a half later. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awful, Ryan, and I know we've spoken quite a bit about this, but I'd like to ask, did you develop any new symptoms once you stopped consuming lion's mane? Can you walk me through that? So you stopped after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What happened? Did new symptoms emerge? Did existing symptoms get worse? Did it get
Yeah.
better?
Things were pretty bad for the first 8 months, and to be specific, major insomnia, 1 to 2 hours of sleep a night, like I mentioned, panic attacks nonstop for the first 2 months. Um, I was getting these internal vibrations through my body, massive memory issues, cognitive cognitive impairment, having a hard time thinking, brain fog. It was just like it's like I became a different person. It's like I was before this a high functioning individual, worked long days, and it was almost like a bus came out of nowhere and just hit me. It was all so sudden too, right? And the symptoms after 8 months of not sleeping started to get slightly better. But to this day, I still live with a lot of debilitating symptoms, including, I'm talking to you now, and I have a constant headache. I have constant headache all day, every day. The only moment and time I get relief is when I sleep, which is which is unbelievable. I'm 32, so the amount of uh, time and stuff I've lost, just from having a constant headache, and I have a loss of sensation in body parts. I have sexual dysfunction. I don't have any libido. I have no interest in that. I have no sensation in my genital. Um, I my muscles are stiff. Um, my jaw muscles are stiff. I mean, this is something out of a horror story, really. Like these symptoms are like, if you had told me prior to taking this 5-AR inhibitor that this would have caused these type of symptoms over taking it in a matter of 2 weeks, like I would have thought impossible. You know, the only good thing that I'm happy I have is I'm still rational. I'm still trying to find answers, despite everyone around me and online saying it's impossible that this could happen. It's has never happened before. And the interesting thing is because no one believed me, I created a group on Reddit called Lions in Recovery, that has over 1,700 members now, and people posting weekly with symptoms that match PFS. And it's still get people who don't believe it, despite all the stories coming forward. Um, it's a sad reality, but people won't believe it until it happens to them in most cases. And yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Ryan. And obviously, I know you, we've spoken quite a few times. I think it's relevant pointing out for the audience because obviously, unfortunately, there are many people who are skeptical that this could happen as a result of taking something like lion's mane. Um, I think it's quite relevant to point out where you were in life prior to consuming lion's mane. So one thing I think to clarify very quickly is the fact that obviously when you took this supplement, when you consume lion's mane, you were obviously not actively paranoid or thinking that lion's mane was going to induce some sort of syndrome in you. Obviously, that was not on your mind. And as you mentioned very concisely, you weren't even aware that there was any risk whatsoever in regard to taking lion's mane. I think it's very important to, first of all, highlight that in respect to any potential claims that this is somehow psychosomatic or a figment of your imagination or that you concocted these symptoms in your mind. They're a product of your imagination. I think it's important to point that out. And also, I like you just another relevant point related to that. I think it would be great to hear from you, Ryan, about where you were in life, socially, romantically, and professionally before you ended up with this condition. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, um, it's it's devastating to see where I'm at now compared to where I was. Um, but yeah, prior I was working, had a steady job, I had a steady relationship with a partner I absolutely adored. Um, had a bunch of savings that I've gone through trying to get help. Um, I was working out, sleeping properly, happy guy. I was a happy guy, I had everything going for me. I'm 30. I mean, at the time I was 30. Um, and looking back, I mean, I lost my job. I lost my partner. I lost tens of thousands of dollars. I lost hundreds of hours. And I'm suffering every moment. You know, before this, I could just wake up in the morning, make a coffee, be optimistic about the day, go to work, look forward to the weekend, look forward to trips, look forward to, everything a 30-year-old wants to do in life, get married, have a family, you know, goals and dreams, and taking that supplement, lion's mane, basically threw that all out the window. Um, it's pretty devastating, and the impact it's had on my family, the impact it's had on me, it's just, there are no words. All over taking something with no marketing inclusion of it having side effects, it being a 5-AR inhibitor, makes me angry. It does. But I've tried to funnel that anger into coming up with solutions, trying to create awareness. I do a YouTube channel trying to create awareness, trying to reach out to even Paul Stamets himself. So I think if you're going through these type of symptoms that you get from PFS, you really need to sit down and say to yourself, am I just going to sit here and do nothing, or am I going to go out and make awareness and do something about this? It's sad that the buck has been passed, and it's unfortunate, but somebody needs to stand up, and we all need to stand up, and we all need to share our stories. So, yeah, sorry I went on a long tangent, but just want to explain that the importance of coming forward and sharing your story. And I don't, who wants to do this? Nobody wants to share their story. Nobody, but we have to, in order to prevent this from happening to others, one, and two, to finding a solution to this. So, yeah, sorry, Eric, I kind of went on a tangent, but it's just,
No, you make very good points. And one thing I would like to really amplify in respect to what you said is who wants to talk about this? And again, I think this is something that really needs to be emphasized, because why on earth would you be coming on this channel talking about your loss of libido, sexual dysfunction, things that are extremely intimate and personal? What on earth would you have to gain from doing that? So again, I think it's very important
exactly.
people who are skeptical of this to ask themselves that question, to ask themselves, what benefit would Ryan possibly have to gain from making these claims for no reason? It makes absolutely no sense. The other thing I would say is people look very foolish saying that this is quote unquote impossible when there are certain people who will go into shock and die, have a seizure from eating peanuts. That happens to
Yeah.
some. So the idea that powerful endocrine disrupting drugs and supplements, it's impossible that they could lead to a disease such as this, seems quite ridiculous in my opinion. But thank you for sharing all that, Ryan.
That's a great point too. The amount of people who don't believe it. I mean, a lot of us have come from good, good jobs and good lives to this, and it's not like we choose it. So we're put in a position where we don't have many choices. So, just yeah. Thank you, Eric. Very good point about that.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that you spent a lot of money, and I'm assuming that these are on doctors' visits and clinicians. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, can you talk to me a little bit about your experience with clinicians? What kind of doctors have you visited, and what has been your overall experience in that regard?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have visited many specialists, including neurologists, 6 neurologists, a neuropsychiatrist, one of the top neuropsychiatrist in Canada. Psychiatrist. Uh, I have seen internal medicine doctor, rheumatologist. Um, I've spoken to my family doctor hundreds of hours, and I've done a bunch of tests, MRIs. I've done a lot of private blood tests. I've done a lot of. I mean, I've spent over $30,000. Um, it's surreal to even to say this, to hear these words come out of my mouth. Um, but I've tried to fight this, and I've tried to get through this with everything available in the system, and nothing has really brought me any further. So yeah, that's a good question. It's just been a lot of trial and error, and a lot of investigating, and still no further ahead. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And how long have you been suffering for, Ryan?
Um, Over a year and a half, close to 2 years, to be honest. When this first happened, um, I said to myself, this won't last more than 3 months, 4 months. Here we are, over a year and a half, close to 2 years later. So it's devastating for people who have this condition. It's and these symptoms. It's I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It's just true. It's truly just hell. Trying just being stuck with these symptoms that just like these symptoms don't go away. So if you're tired with them, they're not tired with you, and you still have to get up every day, and you still have to get on with life, and it's as if I feel like as if I'm in a 90-year-old person's body. I would assume this is what it feels like with the memory issues, with the constant headaches, and the constant twitching, and it's just yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. So I think you already kind of answered this in a way, but could you describe the impact that PFS, for lack of a better term, has had on your life?
Yeah, it's why do we go to work? Why do we try to save money and stuff? I mean, a lot of these things are because we want to, you know, fulfill a life, a goal, get married, do these things, and you know, to have, these things taken away, and to have my abilities taken away, and my memory, cognitive impairment. It's made a huge impact. It's taken everything from me. It's taken literally everything: money, my relationship, my job, my friendships. It's completely destroyed me. Um, and I just have to navigate every day, and then hope that this gets better. But without more people coming forward, and without more people, I'll give you an example. Like in the Lion's Mane recovery group I made, I've had several people reach out to me telling me that they got PFS from taking Lion's Mane. I'll give you one specific example. Um, and if this guy hears this story, I'm not going to mention his name, but he knows that he should have shared his story because he didn't. He was telling me he's studying neuroscience at university, because he wants to become a neuroscientist, and he took lion's mane extract for a single month, and he developed PFS. And after a year of not getting better, he decided to try all these different things. And I asked him to share his story, and he refused. So to me, that is just, it's unbelievable, to not share your story when other people are suffering and you're suffering. And you can't just, this is not something you can just go and take a supplement to fix. It's not. So you need to come forward, and you need to do something about it. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to try this supplement, I'm going to try this medication. It's not working. It's temporary. So yeah, it's you can hear the frustration in my voice, and that's with good reason. So I just yeah, it's made a huge impact, and people need to also share the huge impact it's made on their lives. Because come on, guys, we're young and old. To have to get symptoms like this that feel permanent. It's like, no, it's over what, right? Over a medication, over a supplement that we didn't really need any of this, right? So yeah.
Yeah, very well said, Brian. And I'm really sorry that you're struggling with all these ghastly symptoms. And yeah, thank you for speaking out about this. I hope that as the science advances, we start to link all these conditions to each other, because I think it seems quite apparent that this is a post endocrine disruption problem, which has been postulated by others, and I think it's yeah, very relevant to note that the compound that you took is extremely anti-androgenic, and that it does block DHT, and that you're now, as a result of that, suffering from basically PFS, and that it's had this extremely detrimental impact on your life. So thank you for sharing with us today. And also, again, I think it's very important for people to listen to what you said about speaking out about this. I think everyone needs to think very carefully about the situation we're in and the consequences of not taking action, of not speaking out about this. Where is that going to lead? Because obviously, the self-medication approach doesn't work. So I really encourage everyone to take what you said very seriously. And thank you
And
again.
yeah, no, thank you, Eric. And just to put this out there, while you guys are suffering, while I'm suffering, the owner of those companies that are selling these medications, finasteride, and selling these mushroom products, they're probably, today's Friday, they're going to go out on the weekend on their boat or their cottage, and they're going to enjoy their lives while we're suffering. So if you really want to sit there and let this happen, you shouldn't. So yeah, thank you, Eric. I do appreciate this conversation.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Ryan.
Thanks.